Halloween. Before you know what we get, Halloween just fun right now for me.
It's just not as fun for us right now, anyway.
I mean, Halloween's just, why is there a commercial on the Twitch screen? Oh my god. Why is Ninja on there playing Fortnite? Oh my god.
Twitch is
I
going to
wonder how,
advertise for Twitch.
dude, I want to know how many people dressed up as this video game. Like,
As Fortnite or Ninja?
oh, Fortnite.
I don't know. They're bound to be a lot.
I don't know. Dude, so I was looking on my Facebook and I saw something. So Sean White, he's a professional snowboarder. He's won a lot of Olympic golds and stuff. He dressed up as I think a character from Tropic Thunder, and
I don't
it
think
was
I
like,
like where this is going.
and he has a really big backlash. So
Which character in Tropic Thunder are we talking
no,
about?
it wasn't Robert Downey Jr.
Okay.
Okay. No, there was a scene in Tropic Thunder when Ben Stiller was like a special needs guy. He
Simple
painted his
Jack.
face white.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so he dressed up like that. Now, with that
That's
said,
meta. That's well played, Sean.
yeah, but he's getting backlash. Dude, the Olympic committee is just attacking him, and it's like I was just getting upset because I also read something earlier too about somebody like painting their face black so they can be like a famous rapper and their girlfriend be their famous rapper's wife. And it's like one of those things where when do we get so soft that we can't even be
Ooh.
fucking we can't even like oh my god like
Oh, there is so
who
much to unpack there, Rob. Oh
I okay
no.
well let's
Okay.
let's let's just I know it's a lot to unpack but let's
Let's.
just focus on the Halloween portion of it. Just want to know why
But you
like
went straight for Megan Kelly, dog. What the fuck am I supposed to do about that but talk about the Megan Kelly situation?
well, it's just kind of it falls on Halloween because so what does Halloween mean to you? What does it mean to you? Let's go.
Uh, well, okay, so I'm culturally
Well,
heathen as shit. It's the Day of the Dead when the veil between worlds is thinnest. We are to pay respect to our ancestors as well as ward off the evil with imitations of evil. Uh, Hence the costumes, jack o' lanterns, the witches, black cats, the whole thing. The point of it is to ward off actual evil with
by dressing up as evil.
costumes of evil, yeah,
Okay.
and representations of it.
To me, Halloween's just more. I mean, I love the Day of the Dead stuff. I mean, what is it? The Muertes.
Dia
What's the
de los
Spanish?
Muertos,
Yes.
if you're talking about the Spanish Mexican one specifically.
Yes. Yes. That's what
But most cultures have that idea sometime.
I I think as a child, obviously, all I cared about was the fucking candy. And it was just cool. And then when you get into your early 20s, I thought it was great because you could dress up, go to parties, and just kind of like, who's the best? Who's this? Blah, blah, blah. But as a parent now, it means 10 times more different because obviously I have to enjoy my enjoyment through my child because now I don't trick or treat. We go, like, I think we're going tomorrow on the beach because, Myrtle Beach does some crazy stuff on the beach and,
Yeah.
which would be fun. But yeah, I mean, Halloween to me is I like Halloween. I think I like horror more than I like the Halloween actual holiday. Like I like the whole month leading up to the holiday. Like you used to watch horror movies. There's funny horror movies. There's bloody horror movies. All this other stuff.
Okay, I've got a question for you with the horror thing. Do you prefer like the gothic type of horror where we're like getting into like Nosferatu or Tales of the Macabre, or do you like things that scare you? What's your preference there? Because there's two different camps within like the horror media community of like, oh, I like the macabre and I like things that just scare me. As long as it scares me, I don't care what the setting is.
I would say if it's October, the weather's changing. I want to sit down and I want to watch. I want to watch movies or I want to watch TV shows that scare the living shit out of me. Uh oh. Pokemon history.
Yep,
I like it.
you got a gate crasher.
But
Hey,
no, I
Marco.
mean,
I'm recording. Vámonos. And close the door.
¿Qué pasa, amigo?
Él está bien.
Oh, sí.
So as you were saying,
No, I would want to be scared. I like, yeah. So to me, Halloween just meant more younger because of I want to be scared. I want to be scared more. So the movies and TV shows, I gotta be scared.
here's some scary information for you. Sea monsters still exist.
Sea
In the literal
monster?
sense. In the most literal sense. Giant squid are kraken.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, well,
Long oarfish are sea serpents that can reach up to 118 is the longest we found on record. 118 feet. If that's not a sea serpent, I don't know what is.
that's
That's a sea
remember,
monster.
A while back, we were talking about something, and I brought up the fact that we need to start exploring the depths of our ocean more than
Yeah,
outer space.
and
And
still bear
I agree with
issue
you.
with that.
Yeah, I know.
Still bear
but-
issue with that. Because we should be doing both. Legitimately. And if we just cut down our fucking military budget. And speaking as a veteran, we need to cut down the military budget. But we could use that money instead for oceanic exploration. 10 out of 10 agree. Because
Whoa.
there are monsters down there, like that headless chicken thing we just found.
Well, my whole thing. So what? Hold on. Headless chicken. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, we just found this new creature at the bottom of the ocean that looks exactly like a red headless chicken. That's it. It just swims around and eats shit through the where its head should presumably be if it were a chicken, but it's not, and it's a fish.
Well, it goes back to what we said before. Maybe we evolved from the ocean, and not mammals. I don't know. That's a whole other thing. Anyway,
So
No,
monsters still exist though. Halloween.
Monsters still exist. No, like the I talking about the monsters that are in the ocean. I just want to end it here and say I'm strong believe that if we can get down to the bottom, the really, really, really bottom, and dig, I bet you we'll find fossils of some crazy ass shit.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. No, everybody agrees to that.
Godzilla.
Not necessarily that large, but yeah, that is the concept.
What?
Oh, we've got Neri. We've got Neri waking
no.
up from a nap.
Oh my god.
Hey, my love, how was your snooze? Wonderful. All right,
Well, I have a question for her since she's right here.
Hey, Ari, Rob has a question for you.
I have an answer.
She's got an answer. What's up?
What scares you the most in life?
What scares you the most in life?
It can be anything.
Could be anything.
I'm not scared of a lot.
If you didn't hear that, she said she's scared of a lot.
I said I'm not scared of a lot.
Not scared of a lot. Excuse me.
But one thing that frightens you.
Losing Marco.
That's understandable. That's a big.
That's my number one too.
Like what, in a crowd, or just like
Doesn't
him
matter.
just
Like
leaving?
losing Marco in general, in any conceivable facet.
Isn't that wild though? When we were young, we're scared of like Michael Myers and shit. Now as parents, we're unstoppable, but we're scared to death of losing our child.
Because that's the vulnerable thing.
Yeah, and it goes back to what scares you the most. You're vulnerable. Damn.
Yeah. And
Well, that guy-
and taking a once a year opportunity to remind yourself that you are vulnerable is really good for your psyche. That's why I'm like, why are people trying to like candy coat Halloween, basically? And I say that understanding the irony of trick or treating in America. Love you, honey. Bye. Trick or treating in Halloween, but like, honestly, we're trying to sugarcoat something that is inherently evil. The idea being that we pretend to be evil. Like, it's supposed to force us to look ourselves in the mirror, honestly. Like, are we different than these monsters? If so, how? If not, why? Why are you not different than those monsters? and like try to force that kind of critical examination. It's really good, but we've totally lost that whole element of it
Yeah.
and over commercialized it with candy.
Well, I was gonna say like Halloween, well, has literally grown. It's like Valentine's Day. It's like
And Christmas.
it's yeah, and Christmas. These are just let's spend money as as the society that we are, and let's spend the money we don't have, and give it to people that some people are. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the idea of going trick or treating. I think it's fun. I think it's a fun experience. You get to see all these little kids running around as different costumes and things like that. I, as times have changed, I think trick or treating in, you know, outlets, malls, things like that are going to get more and more and more bigger than outside. I mean, yeah, weather, and then with the way people are nowadays, there's shootings in schools and there's all this other things. I mean, people could kidnap you. Like, it's just,
We're safer now than we've ever been. Like, we haven't had a legitimate case of somebody putting a razor blade in an apple, especially
Oh,
in a
man.
candied apple, in like 30 some odd years.
until tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. Right? And I say that knowing full well of Australia's needle strawberries right now.
What? Needle strawberries.
Yeah, that ground the whole Australian strawberry industry to a fucking halt, man. All Asian strawberries are now suspect of having needles in them, like sewing
that
needles.
was Australia.
Yeah, but they export to everybody in Asia.
Well, it's Australian.
Yeah, I said
wow.
that.
I thought they were sticking needles into the strawberries in the grocery stores, not in the farm.
It's further back in the line than in the grocery stores.
See, that's terrifying itself. I mean,
Yeah, right. You go to the grocery store to buy something that's like it's guaranteed to be safe, right?
I mean,
It's been vetted.
I feel like as an adult, some of the things that terrify you, you didn't care about as a kid, but now things like anything that changes the way of your life is terrifying to me. Like,
Why is
I
change
go
scary?
changes. What?
Why is change
Why is
scary?
change? I don't know. Well, since I have anxiety a lot, that's pretty much scary to me. Change. I like things a certain way, but things are. It's just change is scary because it's well, it depends on the change. If it's abruptly, yes, it's very scary because you weren't prepared for it. I like to be prepared for things, and I'm sure there's people like that. They want to be okay. Well, if A and B don't work, I understand I have C and D. But if I'm just walking down the street and then all of a sudden A, B, C, and D just fucking fall out the door, I wasn't prepared for E. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and I'll grant that. But there's a certain inevitability to it that we've got to
Yeah.
accept at the same time. Like, I get really flustered when I get surprised with nearly anything. It's just my nature. I'm kind of meticulous like that. And if things aren't going a certain way, I get kind of flustered.
Mhm.
It's my anxiety acting up. But change is inevitable. Like, the
Yeah.
passage of time inherently makes it inevitable. This is different than this.
Well,
You know?
okay. Here's a question: do you think that it's not that Halloween changed? It's just because we changed. Halloween's always been the same. It's the same concept, the same everything. But since we've changed,
Our culture
think-
has changed, and we continue to try to sanitize everything, even that which should not be sanitized.
yeah,
And Halloween's an example of something that should not be sanitized. There's a certain extent to which we should, like, hey, fucking razor blades and candied apples are really bad. Maybe don't go in blackface. Things
Oh my
like
God.
that. Wait, hey, you brought it up first, man. But things like that, yeah, we should minimize. But we really should be kicking our kids in the back of the head on their way out the door to force them out the door and meet their fucking neighbors.
No, that's good. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean,
Community.
mhm. What is Marco going? You guys going trick or treating?
We actually don't know what the fuck we're doing tomorrow. We know we're going to Double T. That's it.
Honestly, well, I know double T.
which is a
It's,
diner chain in Maryland for those of you
su-
that don't know.
it's such a typical Maryland thing to say.
Oh yeah.
It's Christmas Eve. We're gonna go eat. Let's fucking double T.
Or the paper moon. Yeah,
Um,
it's like Chinese for everywhere else. It's the only place it's fucking open.
um,
Uh,
no, I figured you guys would go back to your old neighborhood in Jobtown.
we did Lore's Orchard year before last, but we got there really late.
Yeah.
Or I say really late, knowing full well that the socially acceptable times have significantly changed in the last 10 to 15 years.
Where is it now? Like 5?
Yeah, it's like 5 to 7, and when the streetlights come on, everybody starts packing up. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
That's not Halloween. Halloween's like midnight.
You're raiding at night, specifically. And if you find a witch, you fight her.
Dude,
But don't make any
remember,
bargains.
I remember when I was it's so cliche, and I know everyone's heard this, but it's kind of funny. But you always do remember that one house that gives you the big candy bars.
I don't remember any of those.
Dude, and you should have came over to my neighborhood, man. I mean, we had.
Oh,
we
I
had
know
this
E-Town was loaded.
Yeah,
The other side of the elementary school was not, and it was full of fucking asshole old people who didn't want to participate and just shut their fucking lights off.
Yeah.
Lore's Orchard
still
was
have-
a little better, but not as good as E-Town.
We yeah, I mean, we just went through E-Town, and then because I lived in the newer development with Amanda Myers and stuff. And,
Yeah, up closer to 40 side.
Yeah, and then so there was a lot at the time. There was a lot of good candy, but now the lights are always off, like you said. I mean, no one's handing out candy anymore. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and those that do, like, they'll leave one bowl out on the porch, leave the light on, but they won't answer the door or anything.
We're like our world is more socially retarded now than or well, I wouldn't say retarded. Well, that's the correct word. I'm not using it in a bit. Yeah. But
Yeah, actually, no, that's dead nuts, because it is closed off and shrunk. All of our worlds are closed off and shrunk right now, and it's bizarre. I don't get it. Like, if we all know that this problem is occurring, I'm gonna close myself off from the outside world because it's too fucking crazy. You know what the solution to that is?
what?
Going and meeting your neighbors and finding out how crazy they are or aren't. Actually meeting them, hanging out, seeing how they think. They might not be crazy. They could be totally reasonable and just have different conclusions.
Like my grandparents never did this, but like my wife's parents, they still do this. Their community in Forest Hill, like they'll have like Halloween parties, Christmas parties, and all the neighbors come over and they just hang out, all the parents, and then all the kids would just be fucking running around the neighborhood because that's
And
they
beating each
still
other
do
up
that.
and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they still do that, and that has definitely died. Like you don't see that. I mean, I've in the last like 5 or 6 years, and then last year I owned my own house. I lived in Charlotte. Nobody came
But
by.
you guys were a little off the beaten path for Charlotte.
We were.
I'm
Well,
not saying
I
you
will
guys
say-
were out in the sticks, but you guys were off the beaten path.
I will say this: communities down south don't have a lot of sidewalks because I don't know why they build their neighborhoods like on top of each other. Like the spaces in between houses are not huge, but they didn't have a sidewalk, and so that could derail people. But like I said, more malls and things like that are having more events for kids to go to. Churches have trunk or treats, like it's
And as weird as this is to say, thank God for the church saving Halloween.
I know that's kind of weird.
What the fuck? But like that's what's happening because the churches are doing trunk or treat where it's sanitized and like you're gonna have some of the evil centric costumes, and then you're gonna have something totally benign like a robot.
Yeah.
We did a trunk or treat last night at Marco's elementary school, and the school had put it on. Showing up got because they do the houses thing like it's goddamn Hogwarts, and whatever. But like showing up got him house points for his house, I
Yeah.
don't even know what house he belongs to or why we're trying to create this intra-school competition or whatever. I think we're trying to hijack children's psychology, and I think that's
I
kind of
blame.
gross, but
I
not
blame Harry
touching
Potter. I blame Harry Potter. Go
that.
on.
So little gross doing the houses thing, but you know what? Whatever. It's going well, and there was somebody who built a robot costume with like an Arduino, and it had moving parts and shit. There was a
Really?
voice modulator inside the head. Like it was wild,
Well,
man.
I think it's like it's smart. It hands down. It will like for the churches. You don't even have to belong to that church, and you can just hear about it and just go. I mean, they don't care. They just want people to go. And it's smart for the elementary schools to do it as well because it's kind of like it's a controlled environment. People kind of
Well,
know what's going on.
yeah, the parents understand that, like, it's not, oh, what house did this come from? It's, oh, this came from the fucking school. And you can control the output of the candy by exclusively leaving it to the teachers. So
Yeah.
there is more control and more regulation that way. So the kids are inherently safer.
Oh, Mrs. Smith gave me a fucking Tootsie Roll with cocaine in it. What the hell?
I need to meet Mrs. Smith. Jesus Christ.
Hey, everybody. Good morning.
Yeah, right.
This is for pickups. This is for drop offs. Okay. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this right.
This one's to pick me up, and this one is to drop me off. Yeah.
The red or the yellow? Which one do you want to go with? Oh my.
Yeah,
So we'll
things are getting sanitized now. I think it's kind of icky, but you know,
yeah.
it is what it is.
But it's definitely commercialized as shit. I mean,
Yeah, that's just
go to the
America.
grocery store. Just go to the grocery store, and I bet you every aisle you go down, there will be either a vampire, a werewolf, or a Frankenstein on some kind of package.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just
and
hands
like
down.
we're going with well, that's also because of copyright law as it currently
yeah.
exists in the United States and abroad, which is inherently anti-creator, but not touching that. So all that's left in the public domain to use as scary figures is like Dracula, ghosts, skeletons. Like, I think goblins are taken by Wizards of the Coast.
Really?
I think like you try to find a depiction of a goblin somewhere for Halloween. You know, there's got to be a reason they're not used. But everybody knows what the hell a Frankenstein is, and that's not even correct. It's Frankenstein's monster. He was a flesh golem, and he was hella intelligent.
He was a zombie.
Not
It's like,
no, not explicitly.
well, he was a
He was a
man-made
yeah, he was an amalgamation. Like
abomination.
yeah, that too.
Duh. He
They
was
didn't stop to think to consider whether they should.
so funny, like stories, and obviously these are fiction, hopefully, but stories of Frankenstein. It's so crazy how he's just.
Why did
such
you
a
air quote hopefully? That was a weird thing to air quote, Rob.
Well, you never know what happened thousands of years ago.
I
You don't know if it was
know.
you don't know if somebody was like, I want to fucking see what
But
lightning does. I wanna see
satirical
if it-"
hope that it never happened? Like you're
Yeah.
satirizing the hope that it never happened?
Listen, I live in a fantasy world. I know that vampires probably don't exist. I say probably all the time.
There
I
are
like to
people
think-
that claim to be.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Twilight. I know. But werewolves. See, my whole thing about werewolves. There's like I mean, obviously everybody knows we're vampires and Frankenstein, all that stuff. But the thing about werewolves to me is, if you look into Indian culture, like if you dive into the
Talk
the
about
religion-
native?
yeah,
Okay.
culture, yeah, native culture. I mean, obviously, like no one really turned into a wolf, more or less, but they believed in the spirits of when you died, maybe you turned into a wolf, or
No.
they were so stoned out of their minds that they thought that Alan over here fucking turned into a wolf, like so.
There are legit cases of skinwalker activity on reservations throughout the Southwest right now.
Really?
I can't confirm or deny that they're actually skinwalkers, but I can confirm that the accounts are popping up now.
Dude, one of the things that scared me the most is Bigfoot, which kind of is a skinwalker. Think about it,
It could be related, yeah. It very
Yeah.
well could be, because it could have been like some Algonquin tribe up there with a skinwalker that got sighted in costume, effectively,
right? Yeah,
and that's what started that myth. That could very well be the
That's-
case. Could have also been grizzly bears.
it could be. I mean, evolution's a thing. People
Yeah.
gotta understand that.
Yeah,
It's there. It might not. Yeah, it might not be like, oh, that monkey after 5 years turned into a human kind of thing. But no, it's there where I'm not saying monkeys. Anything can evolve just a slight little bit. I mean,
Well, everything changes over time. That
Yeah.
inevitability, and we all face death. That whole thing does occur. What does not necessarily is a scientific justification for Wendigo and that whole phenomena, because that's terrifying. Um, are you familiar with that story?
I am not. Please enlighten me.
It's another Western one. Comes from one native tribe or another. I'm not sure. But it is an explicitly Pacific Northwest phenomena, and the idea was basically you get shut in and get cabin fever from the really harsh winters up there,
Yeah.
and eventually you'd turn to like eating people, and you, as you did so, would change over time, and you'd become this Wendigo, which would just hunt people and slaughter them for pleasure and food. They're a legitimately terrifying phenomena, because there's that kernel of truth to it. If you eat people, you will go crazy. So don't do
Why
that.
Why would you go crazy?
The proteins actually cause a lot of different disorders. That's actually the root cause of mad cow, was feeding cow other cow. And then it became contagious. Like transmissible, I should say. It's always been contagious, so to speak, but it became like transmissible. And scary, scary
there's
shit.
There's probably tribes still out there that eat. Cannibalism's still a thing.
Papua New Guinea
But-
does have some cultures within it that do still engage in the cannibalism of their criminals. They treat it a specific way. It's only in specific instances. It's super rare, and the criminal has to have been found guilty of a specific crime. Although, like war tribunals, are you really gonna find who's actually guilty?
Mhm.
But not touching their justice system. In actual fact, like, they do eat people, and that's scary as shit. Somebody just wrote for Vice, actually. It was like 2 years ago. Went over there and participated in that whole rite, and had people on a styrofoam plate. Yeah.
Did he eat it, or did
Yeah.
he just witness it? Okay.
No, he tried some people.
Would you participate?
In that specific setting, that super specifically, like,
Yeah, like if you're in a
because-
tribe and it's like the hierarchy of village, it's like, listen, to be one of us or to be accepted in here, will you eat this totem? Like,
not quite the same.
okay.
Culturally speaking, it's their sin is all of our sin. They're still a part of us, even though we don't want them here. We're extricating them from their body because they've lost the privilege to it in doing such evil deeds. But they're still with us. They're still a part of us, and that exists in all of us, period. The potential
you-
for that exists in all of us.
Honestly, like, it's
Which
kind
is
of
a really
weird.
roundabout way of saying, yeah, I'd try people in that specific circumstance.
Well, I was gonna say it's kind of weird, but it's kind of weird, but it's kind of a little romantic in a way because, say, if you died, Alex,
And that's
I would.
romance in the proper sense.
Yes, if you died, I would still want a piece of you with me, so I would have a little bit of your liver. I'd probably be drunk, but
Fava beans and Chianti.
see that doesn't scare me that much. I think
Uh,
the Sasquatch thing fucking scares the shit out of me.
and the supernatural spooks me out. People like you're dealing with a specific kind of monster, and that monster doesn't scare me. It just sucks.
Mhm.
Like I mourn that rather than am scared by it. Whereas like supernatural horror, every time, because there ain't shit you can do. Like conceivably, you can get a gun and off the serial killer.
Yeah.
Conceivably. Not every circumstance, that whole thing, blah 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 blah. But like, it's you have a chance. The question is whether or not you will, or are prevented in that whole tanglement. But you have the opportunity to. You cannot necessarily beat the supernatural, and that's why that's terrifying.
Well, I just watched a special on AMC. They just did like a 3-week special on like the masters of horror. Like basically what genre is probably the best, and obviously visually wise and entertaining wise, slasher films are probably the best thing ever. But the thing that scares the people the most, and they voted for years on this, said they did like polls and stuff, zombies and possession. Like if someone got possessed, it's the scare. It's one. They're threat. People actually get more scared when they see when The Exorcist came out. Not that
Because
they
they're
weren't.
petrified of losing their agency in both
Yeah,
cases.
well, this is your temple. Everything you own in your life could go away, but this is you. This you own this. This
No,
is
it's
your
part
property.
of you.
Yeah, well, it's part of you. And then the think that something you cannot control or even see, touch, feel will
Yeah.
come inside you and just take you away or take one of your loved ones away is a very frightening thing. And with the supernatural thing like you're talking about, I mean that's very I can see that being
It's the loss of what makes you human.
yeah.
You don't have
Yeah.
any agency or control over your body anymore. It's inherently the loss of what makes you human, and that should scare everyone.
It does. You know,
And what a fantastic note to hit the 30-minute mark on.
whoa! I just wanna say this, the tease, the next episode. But you know what? A really scary thing that's been happening lately is people,
Terrorism.
domestically, like people going into, like recently the Pittsburgh thing. But you don't even have to talk about the Pittsburgh thing. Schools, movie theaters. I mean, it's scary. Like I used to go to the movies by myself. I still will every now and then for certain movies. Probably going to see Bohemian Rhapsody this weekend, but it still frightens me. That thought now, I never had a thought of someone going into a movie theater and killing anybody. But now, since it happened years ago, I will always look for that exit before I sit down. Like it's just subconsciously, like he changed the way we think. It's in a scary way, and it's kind of like that with the church. Now, when you go to church, they will be officers probably at every damn church. There should be, or if it's in the South, churches are going to have. I mean,
Gun-toting Christians.
everyone's holding in the South. So, but yeah, we'll talk about terrorism next episode.
Even though
Check it
Jesus
out.
was explicitly nonviolent.
I know he wasn't.
Yeah, because he was tossing tables all over that temple that the merchants had overran. I mean,
I feel like
you got to pick your battles.
if you're gonna write a story about a guy, you're gonna tell the best parts of. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's
All right.
juicy. We'll save that for the religion episode. Have a good day, everybody, and happy Halloween.